year is 2004 and Casio G-Shock Japan just managed to add solar charging and waveceptor antenna inside one of their ana-digi lineup. So that year is a big deal to all of those ana-digi models, because since then everything has changed, and thanks to these little fellows, now we have something like this, which is my favorite series out of the bunch. So speaking of which, this is the GW-1300J, which is an alternative or a separate version to the original GW-1200, which is the first generation model that came with solar charging and waveceptor, which happened to be an upgrade from the GW-1100. I'll cover both of them on a separate video. So today let's talk about one of the cheaper options, but not really. It's gonna cost you 30,000 Japanese yen way back in 2004, which is expensive, but at that time I have to say the price is really fair, considering there's nothing like this at that time. And because of that huge revolutionary or huge achievement, Casio added this in their The G lineup. And there it is, Casio 3334 GW-1300J stainless steel back, Japan H water resistant to 20 bar, and the G-Shock resistant, of course. And there's a little batch number down there just to show to you guys which year or specific day in which this model was manufactured. Still looking on the backplate, you'll see there are 4 screws that's locking it into place, which makes the watch look solid. Especially when you put this on wrist, you will be able to feel that metal. And the hard case is fully resin, which is guarded with resin, covered up with metal bezel in gold in this case, and another resin bezel on top. And the whole piece was locked with 4 screws on each corner, and the watch band is locked with a spring bar, which in this case has a lot of texture on it. I have to say, it looks really nice. It matched really well with the complexity on the watch face, and it balances everything up. I have to say, this watch really looks like it belongs in the year 2004 from the round shape design. A lot of curve on it, really simple and complex watch face, except for the size. It is quite big. The lug to lug will go around 59.15 millimeters. The width size will go for 43.7, and the thickness will go about 15.6, which is really unusual like most watches at that time. But for a G-Shock watch, it is pretty standard, because most of the size are for the padding. The watch itself is quite small actually, but then again it only weighs around 68 grams, which is nice. But the reason why this watch has to be so big, because of the limitation of the technology that Casio had at that time. If you look inside, you'll see that the coil motor itself really takes up a lot of space, and in this case Casio need to use 2 batteries just to power up all of the digital and the analog movement in there. So the watch itself really limited to the size of the parts in there, considering the battery and the coil motors, which means it cannot go any smaller, well, at that time at least. And because of that, Casio named this a just size model, which literally translates to a just nice size, because it's just nice with the battery, the movement in there, the hands, all the digital display, all jam packed in there with some padding on the exterior. And this is what we end up with, a symmetrical round shaped G-Shock with a button just big enough to operate the entire piece. We have 5 of them, and one big feature being the double LED lights, which will glow in blue colorway, one from 3 o'clock, another one from 9 o'clock position, which is really unlike all of the models we got today. The LED light is so bright that it could light up the entire analog part and even the digital display. Because of the position of it, it really shows the entire watch face, which is great. Plus this watch also have full auto light built in, thanks to the solar panel in there. And I have to say, with all the technology that was jam-packed in here, it is really something, because you have solar charging, you have your battery, you have your coil motors in there, you have all the parts that needed to light up the digital display, and it tells us like a lot of information. If you count it up, you could literally tell us more than 10 different informations just at a glance in this watch, which is amazing. Okay, speaking of which, let's have a look up close on the watch face. First of all, it is an ana-digi, which the hands came in half skeleton. You'll have the luminous just at the tip of it, but you don't really need that because the LED lights is just really bright. And you have 4 digital display. The one on the 9 o'clock will be used for seconds counter, and the graphics, well, you gotta have that since this watch didn't have any moving seconds hands. Next, at 6 o'clock position, you'll have your day display and battery level indicator and some background indicator. At 4 o'clock position, there's your mode indicator. Not really necessary, but yeah, since they have all the power, you have all the battery, it is all charging, you have all the space, why not just utilize that? And lastly, the one on 12 o'clock will be for background indicators and also the level for the waveceptor. Now, let me quickly demonstrate on what the watch could do. In depth, really. So at home time right now, it is showing us time in analog for the hour and the minutes and the seconds over here. And down here is the day display, okay? I could swap this to a different setting. Now, day display and date display. You can also swap it up to full months and date and seconds display, or just full digital time, hour, minutes, and second display if you need that. Pressing this lower right button will bring you into the manual waveceptor receiver feature. So this watch is way back in 2004, G-Shock could only receive 2 different signal bandwidth, which is the 60 kHz and 40 kHz Japan time. If the watch has successfully received the signal, you'll see a G logo will pops up in the center of the top display. Really cool. Okay, first mode brings you into the world time, which has a 30 cities and 29 time zones pre-registered in here. And then you'll have yourself 5 alarm plus signal, but you didn't have any snooze feature at all. But while you are setting this alarm, you could check the time in analog form. Pressing mode button again will brings you into the countdown timer mode. In here, the watch could have a range to only 60 minutes, but you do have auto repeat, which is gonna come in handy if you miss when the alarm is off. And next is a stopwatch. To only have a range to 100 minutes, not hours, but only 100 minutes, 1 over 100 seconds precision as well, and split time like most G-Shock watch does. And lastly, hand setting. So this is where you can set up the hour and the minute analog part to match with the time in digital, just in case they were misaligned, because they are indeed moving on separate module. Lastly, back to home timekeeping, and that's pretty much it. The function itself is incredibly simple, really like most watches we got this day. But considering the year 2004, this is one of a kind. The fit, however, is really nice. It's lightweight. You could wear this anytime you like. If you love the look of it, which really I'm not a fan of anymore because this watch is old, you know. I usually love to update all my collections to follow up with all this new trend, new design and such. But if you like something classic, something that's historic, maybe this will be it.